Slick talker since a jet. Wintertime, all the time, ooh, yeah. Look at the way that I move, swag. Disrespectful and I'm rude, okay. I had cocaine in the school. Winter one hell of a kid. I am smoking gas, jogging mid. I'm lit. What you doing? I done did. I swear. Slick talker since a jet. Finesse. I know that this what they want. Facts. Run up some money, I'm gone. I'm the truth like Ron.
Hey guys, DX What Is here, and welcome back to part 3 of What If Naruto was in Tokyo Ghoul. Without anything else being said, let's get into this. 2 months later. During those 2 months, Naruto has been going with Kaneki and Yomo to train. He hasn't been necessarily training with them. He was just there to see progress. He's been secretly training Kaneki under Yomo's nose. Him and Yomo don't really get along so well, as Naruto reminds him of a ghoul he used to know before he killed him, just a little bit. They are all currently in a secluded area to Kaneki's sparring match. Kaneki throws the left, making contact. He then jumps and kicks him in the stomach. He successfully caught him off guard, which created openings for those advances. Yomo slides back while putting one hand over his stomach. How are you this good? I didn't teach you any of those techniques. Kaneki just smiles while a chuckle catches Yomo's attention. He sees it to be Naruto. He's smoking a cigar while leaning up against a pillar. Yomo says, "Something funny?" "It's nothing. Don't mind me. Just focus on training Kaneki." He says this with a smirk. Yomo brushes it off and turns his attention to Kaneki. "You ready? Let's go." They both rush at each other and resume their battle. Naruto has never been more proud of Kaneki. He improved himself since the incident with that lunatic shoe. He's been training more and come to enjoy fighting. His attitude has changed a lot as well. He's more cool-headed and impulsive. He has an I-could-care-less type of vibe. He doesn't take shit anymore. Those are the traits he developed from being around Naruto a lot. And instead of it being him and Hide, Naruto is in the group as well. They all enjoy each other's company, especially Hide. He's digging Kaneki's new persona, his looks as well. He always wears a black sleeveless compressed shirt with black pants and shoes. He has a black necklace with a dark crystal. He has a sleeveless long draped jacket with a small pop collar. He also wears black gloves and a black eye patch too, all black. He is very good at taijutsu. He could hold his own very well against Naruto, and that's hard to do. The only problem is that he still won't eat. His body is well toned, but in the ghoul's perspective, he would be weak. But Kaneki has turned himself into a fighting machine, so he'll be able to fend for himself. He's very fast too, so it would be hard to beat him in hand-to-hand combat. So if he attacks early, he'll definitely win. And one more thing, Naruto has done something very special to Kaneki, for Kaneki, that eliminates all his faults. It will be mentioned soon. After the sparring match, Yomo's panting heavily while Kaneki puts his hands in his pocket. He says, "We done?" "Yeah, let's call it a day." He quickly regains breath and begins walking towards his jacket he had thrown onto the ground before fighting. Kaneki walks over to Naruto with a cool stride, with his hands in his pocket. He says, "Hey, you gonna go head out today?" "It's up to you, kid." "I told you many times, stop calling me a kid." "Yeah, whatever, kid." Kaneki scoffs and proceeds to lean on the pillar with Naruto. He has his arms crossed with a calm, blank look. Now, Kaneki and Naruto has been secretly going CCG hunting over the 2 months. The 20th ward has been flooded with doves, so they're taking the liberty of lessening the numbers, along with a few other ghouls. Naruto and Kaneki has more bodies than they can even count, but the number still continues to grow. And if you're wondering how is Kaneki activating his Kagune without eating, that special thing Naruto did helps him activate it without any food source. Anyway, Yomo grabs his coat and walks over to them. He approaches and looks at Kaneki. He puts on his coat and says, "We got 2 more stops to make before you're done." Kaneki shrugs and walks off, with Naruto following behind. Yomo begins to follow as well. Time skip to their food supply area. They all approach the rail. Naruto says Naruto says while looking down. 3 bodies, huh? Today must have been a special day. Don't say things like that. You have no idea what these people have been through. Yeah. He takes a puff of a cigar before jumping down. They both follow behind as well. They land with 2 bags. Naruto and Yomo has them. They walk over and begin chopping the bodies apart. Kaneki is just leaned up against the dirt wall on his phone. He doesn't want to pay attention because he'll feel like he's a part of it. A few minutes of preparing the bodies, they finish up and head off. They walk towards the wall, and Kaneki suddenly places a foot onto the dirt wall, and the bottom glows blue. He then lifts his other foot and plants it onto the wall and begins casually walking up. Naruto gains a pleasant smirk of surprise. Yomo is in shock and awe. Naruto then says, Found out about chakra control, I see. I didn't expect you to figure it out on your own. Kaneki stops walking and turns around. He looks down at Naruto and says, I felt a strange feeling a few days after you transferred chakra, or whatever you call it, into my body. I felt it all over. One day, I just toyed around trying to find out what this chakra could do. I placed my foot onto my wall and channeled chakra into it as an experiment. Then the bottom of my foot started to glow blue, and ever since then I started training that technique. Wow, I'm really impressed, kid. Kaneki gives Naruto a cool smile and proceeds to walk up the wall once more. Yomo has no idea how Kaneki is doing this, but it's obvious it has something to do with Naruto. He decides to shrug it off for now. Both then follow behind Kaneki to the car. It's been 10 minutes since they left. Kaneki's on his phone, thinking about training with Naruto and another special someone, Toka that is. Naruto is sitting back with his chair down with him. He's blowing smoke out of the window so the fumes won't irritate them. A few minutes of driving go past and they stop at a red light. Kaneki looks up and asks, Where are we going? We're gonna go see my friend Yukari. We're not too far from her bar. Why? We'll see when we get there, kid. Sorry, we'll see when we get there. Kaneki shrugs and proceeds to play music through his earbuds. 30 minutes go past and they arrive at the bar. They walk in to see Ikuri and Uta sitting down at the bar table. They all walk in and sit down beside them. Ikuri turns to Kaneki and begins to greet him. I'm so terribly delighted that you came to see me. I've heard so much about you from Rain and Uta here. Everything good, of course, but the description is a little off. I expect you to be more stiff. Care to explain it? Last time I saw him, he was nothing like this. But whatever, he seems more cool now anyway. He takes a sip of his drink. He sees that he changed a lot, but doesn't pay too much attention to it. Ikuri then continues. Anyway, I'm Ikuri and this is my bar. Welcome. Nice to meet you, miss. Likewise. Kaneki then takes out the earbud he had in and says, So, have you three known each other for a long time? Long enough to be stuck with each other. But way back when, Rain and Naruto weren't exactly on the best of terms, you see. Because of them, the fourth world was even more of a shithole than it is now. But we moved past those days, haven't we? Yeah, I guess. Once upon a time, Rain was a real wild man, weren't you, Rainy? Oh, was he that bad? Kaneki says. Kaneki looks at him with a smirk. Uta then says, Yeah, Toga kind of reminds me of Rain when she blows a casket. You know, you're totally right. Kinda cool. Kaneki says. Yomo then interrupts. Enough talking about the past. Now, didn't you have something you want to tell him, Ikuri? She then gasps and says, I almost forgot. She rushes behind the counter and grabs a bottle from under it. Kaneki is a little curious to what she plans on doing, but keeps a cool expression. She pours the drink and he instantly smells the blood. She hands it to him and says, Here, bottoms up. No. I'm sorry. No, thank you. I'm underage. Silly thing. Don't worry, it's not wine. As she says this, she tries to spill the blood onto Kaneki, but in a flash, she disappears from the seat and instantly appears behind Ikuri with a gust of wind blowing from behind. He then grabs her wrist and turns her around with force. Everyone except for Naruto is shocked and speechless at his display of speed. Kaneki says, I smelled the blood as soon as you popped the bottle. If you wanted to see if it was true, all you had to do was ask. He then proceeds to lift his eye patch while still holding onto her wrist. She says, Whoa, it's just like you said, Rain, a one-eyed ghoul. Kaneki scoffs in annoyance and lets go of her. He then proceeds to walk back to his seat. Eagerly thinks to herself, this guy's pretty cool. He then follows behind. They both get to their seat and begin talking again. I wonder if the other one-eyed ghoul's anything like Kaneki here. Who knows? That statement caught Kaneki's full attention. He says, so there's another ghoul just like me. Oh, have I piqued your interest? Kaneki nods. Great. First, let me ask you something. Sorry. If a human and a ghoul fell in love with each other, what would you get if the magic happened? Naruto then intervenes. A hybrid. What you get is a corpse. They just don't mix. Interesting. He takes a puff of his cigar, and she continues. Even if they manage to conceive, the child would be too weak to survive. But they are the miraculous few who beat the odds and give birth to a healthy ankle biter. Just like me, they'd be a half-breed. For some reason, a half-blooded ghoul is far superior to a full-blooded one. And the hybrid in question has a red eye on the opposite side you do. Then again, those stories are a little more than just urban legends. Kaneki thinks for a moment and decides to ask, you know anything about a ghoul named Rize? Aha! Any special reason? She's the reason why I'm like this in the first place. Ever since I met her, my life's gone to shit. Despite that, I know nothing of her. That makes a lot of sense. Where should I start? She was a troublemaker from the word go. If her death wasn't as mysterious, I doubt she'd be on anyone's mind right now. Mysterious? How so? It was just an accident. Is that right? The biggest glutton in the 20th Ward just so happened to be crushed to death. Talk about gullible. Hey, watch it. Eagerly continues. You see, there are more than a few rumors floating around, and they all say that someone was spotted on the building at the same time the little incident happened. It wasn't a coincidence then. Someone else is responsible for my downfall. Is that what you're telling me? I'm telling you, someone wanted Rize dead. Or worse. That's enough. I'm just saying, lighten up. They're only rumors. There's no need to put a stock in them. Yomo then scoffs and gets up. He gets his jacket and says, I'll be waiting in the car. Come whenever you're ready. Kaneki nods. Ikuri then says, I'll see you later, Rain. I'll see you later then. Bye, Rain. Uta waves. Yeah, see you guys later. He then walks out. Ikuri then turns her attention to a man sitting at one of the tables smoking a cigar in the dark. She says, Hey, you were the one who answered my question earlier. What's your name? This catches his attention. Naruto Namikaze. Nice to meet you. Ikuri then gets up and walks over to him. He looks up in curiosity. She then gets closer, looking him in the eyes and says, Your ghoul eyes are weird. Why do they look like that? It had something to do with my past, but I don't feel like getting into that. Not too fond of the past either, eh? Reminds me too much of how weak I was. But enough about that. Sorry, I'm just about to restart that. Reminds me too much of how weak I was. But enough about that. Got anything else to say? Got anything else to say? No, I just wanted to get a closer look. Well, if that's all, come on, Kaneki. You don't want to keep Mr. Yomo waiting, do you? Kaneki gets up and grabs his jacket. Naruto gets up and heads for the door with Kaneki following behind. While walking out, Naruto says, Hope we meet again, Ikuri. Later, Uta. Ikuri chuckles and waves. Uta waves as well. After, they all make it to the car and they all head off. An hour passes and they make it back to Ontaku. It's currently night. Yomo drops them off and goes home. Naruto throws his finished cigar aside and proceeds to walk, with Kaneki following behind, pulling out another cigar. But then Kaneki stops and asks, "Hey, don't forget about what you said earlier." "Oh right, training. Come on, let's go. I'll race ya." "You're on." They then disappear from sight to their training spot. They are currently in a wooded area away from civilization. They are walking to their training spot in comfortable silence, but Naruto suddenly says, "How's that seal holding up? No problems with that, right?" Sorry, let me restart that. "How's that seal holding up? No problems with that half, right?" "No, I'm able to control up to the one tails, but anything above I lose control." "Okay, we'll work on maintaining your second tailed state tonight until sunrise." Kaneki nods, and it gets silent for a moment. Naruto then says, "Tell me, why did you want my power over Sun if you know you might lose your humanity?" "Because from that day I saw what true power looks like. I wanted to feel it for myself." Naruto smirks at this and thinks, "You finally know what it means to be strong and proud, kid." He says, "Feel any better now that you have it?" Kaneki nods at the smirk and says, "Thanks to you." Naruto chuckles at this. He then takes a puff of his cigar. How this came to be was because of Naruto creating his own sealing jutsu. It allowed him to extract half of the demon chakra without any consequences. He placed it into Kaneki and it formed a seal onto his chest. But in order for that to have worked, he had to permanently infuse half of his chakra into him. It was risky because he could have died from the transfer, but he was greatly compatible. It went so well that it became his own. To their training grounds. They are currently facing one another at a standoff. Naruto begins to speak. "Now, before we get into this, let me tell you more about chakra." Kaneki nods. In this, there's a whole new definition of chakra. Anyway, he holds out his hand, He holds out his hand, and an orange glow starts to flare up. It flowed like smoke. He says, "This is transformation chakra. This is the type of chakra you use to ascend into your greater power. Depending on the person, it'll last however long. Just have to hone it." Suddenly his chakra turns from orange to blue. Kaneki says, I already know what that type of chakra is for. Sorry. God damn it. I already know that type of chakra. Sorry. Again. I already know that type is for control. It's not just for control. Naruto begins to make a fist as the chakra engulfs his whole hand. He then smashes it into the ground, shaking the whole area. He punched a devastating hole into the ground. The effect blew some of the trees around him apart. Kaneki is in shock. He didn't know you could use it for something like that too. Naruto then gets up and says, "It also can be used as an enhancement. If you master your chakra control, you could use it on your whole body if you wanted to. Then you'll certainly be unstoppable." I have to master that chakra? It won't be easy, mind you. It'll take years. The best way to master it is through meditation. You'll know you've mastered it once the outside of your body feels warm. That'll be the feeling of the chakra flowing around your body. If I master this ability, will I be able to do what you just did? Not just that, even more. You see, what you said earlier is true. It's mostly all about chakra. It's mostly all about control. Blue chakra starts to surround his hand once more. He says, "Watch." He suddenly holds his hand in the direction of a rock. Kaneki gets curious and looks at the rock as well. Naruto says, "All you want to do is imagine that rock coming towards you." Blue chakra suddenly flares around the rock. Kaneki gains a look of awe as the rock suddenly flies towards Naruto at a great speed. He catches it and says, "And it'll come to you." Kaneki shakes the look of surprise and nods. Naruto then says, "Now that we got that out of the way, let me show you what the last one is." Suddenly, dark and red aura engulfs his whole body as the ground shakes. Kaneki falls to the ground on his hands and knees, panting heavily while sweat starts to drop. Darkness starts to spread slowly throughout the area, corrupting the forest. Naruto then says, "This is eternal chakra. This type of chakra solely focuses on your emotion and will. As you can see, I'm full of darkness and rage. No light." Kaneki is in pain right now. He doesn't know what's happening to him. He's under so much pressure that it's hard for him to speak. The trees in the ground are now smoking with wispy black chakra. His darkness is so powerful that it's making everything around him rot and corrupt. Naruto notices that Kaneki is not holding out to it, so he deactivated it. Kaneki is now panting heavily in a puddle of sweat. He utters, "What the hell? That's your eternal chakra?" "Obviously, kid." Kaneki regains his composure and stands up. He asks, "What do we have to do to bring it out?" "Close your eyes and focus on your emotions. Focus on your will, so focus on your soul. Clear your mind." Kaneki begins to follow his instructions. He begins to breathe and clear his mind of everything. Nothing is left but emotion. Naruto then says, Now once you see something shine a certain color, release it." He then starts to focus hard. Once he does this, after a few moments go past, he starts to see a white light, but suddenly darkness starts to mix with it. They combine and form black and white chakra. Naruto feels something start to well up in Kaneki. It feels and smells both pleasant and potent. He says, "Good, now bring it out." Kaneki then opens his eyes, and suddenly a burst of black and white chakra flare from him as the ground shakes. Naruto stands there with a pleased look and says, "How do you feel?" "Everything's slow." "Perfect." After he says this, he suddenly takes off his jacket and throws it aside. He then cracks 2 fingers and says, I don't know about you, but I'm ready to get this. Sorry, I don't know about you, but I'm ready to get things started. Go to your one-tail state while your eternal chakra is active." He nods. He lifts his eye patch as his nails get sharp. His fangs show. Both eyes turn crimson with a slit, but the regular chakra doesn't bubble up. His eternal chakra starts to form the one-tail state instead. He then gets on all fours and says in a demonic tone, "You ready?" Naruto instantly forms his one-tailed fox state while still smoking his cigar. He uses eternal chakra as well, but a minimum. He then gestures. Kaneki then rushes at Naruto with insane speed. He pushed off with so much force that the chakra ripped trees apart. He then appears at the side of Naruto and lunges at him, trying to scratch him. Naruto swiftly deflects with his claws. Sparks fly as they go into an all-out battle, clawing rapidly at each other. You can see the joy in both their faces. They're both enjoying this fight. Kaneki throws a left slash, but it was parried. Naruto then punches him in the gut full force. Kaneki goes flying through the air, crashing through many trees. He tumbles and finally comes to a stop in a crater. His cloak then dissipates. He struggles to get up. Naruto walks up to him, deactivating his one-tail state while a little steam leaves his mouth. He says, "That was fun while it lasted, but I failed to tell you that the form won't last long if you're inexperienced. Train with your eternal chakra more and will last. Best way is to train your body physically. Physicality is needed to last in that state with the eternal chakra." He then picks him up and puts his arm over his shoulder. We'll work on getting you. We'll work on getting your two-tailed state. We'll work on getting you to your two-tailed state some other time. Let's go home. You're in no condition to fight. Kaneki is too sore to even talk right now. Sorry, it's very cold. He just puts his weight onto Naruto and then they begin walking home. Now, back at Konoha, 2 years after the Fourth Great Ninja War. It was hectic when Naruto suddenly disappeared 13 years ago. Alright, I'll say when Naruto left, time sped up over there as well. So you see how Naruto is like 20, I think he's 20 something, 21 now. I forgot I forgot the age, but I'll check it in my in one of my last videos. But anyway, seeing how he's like, he left 13 years ago. So he was about 6. Yeah, so he's like 19. He's 19 now. Yeah, he's 19 years old. So everybody over at over in the Ninjaverse in Konoha, they're older now. 19, all of them. Some 18, some 19, But anyway, it was hectic when Naruto suddenly disappeared 13 years ago. The village was in an uproar because they feared the worst. They thought that Naruto left so he could revolt against Konoha in secret for how bad they treated him. They demanded that they find him, but since then, their worries lessened because they think he's dead. Naruto's childhood acquaintance forgot about him, except for a select few: Shikamaru, Choji, Sakura, Hinata, Sasuke, and the rest. The third Hokage and Kakashi have been suffering. They can't get the disappearance of Naruto out of their minds. Lord Third is currently drinking his life away because of the guilt. He was his responsibility and he failed to protect him. Kakashi is hell-bent on finding Naruto. The thought of him failing his sensei hurts his heart, so he'll stop at nothing to find him. He's currently working on a way to track Naruto since he seems untraceable. To the Hokage's mansion. Lord Third is currently trying to do paperwork while a little drunk. He thinks with a tear falling down. I'm sorry, Naruto. I'm so sorry. After all these years, he's still fucking suffering. But anywho, he begins to cry and lays his head down. Ever since Naruto's disappearance, he hasn't been the same. He cries and cries till something bright starts to shine in his office. He looks up with tears in his eyes. A few moments longer, and the glow subsides. It's the sage. Hiruzen is in shock to see someone floating in front of him. He says, "Who are you?" "I have no time for introductions. I'm here to give you another chance to see Naruto. Isn't that what you want?" Hiruzen is in shock of what he just heard. He then gets up and yells, "Where's Naruto?" "Calm down, Hiruzen. He's safe." He's hesitant at first, but he decides to calm himself. He asks, "How will you lead us to Naruto when we couldn't find him anywhere?" "You didn't find him because he's not here. In this universe, I mean." Sarutobi raises an eyebrow and says, What are you talking about?" The sage then begins to explain everything that happened to Naruto. After, Hiruzen holds his head in confusion and says, "How did Mayano not figure this out? It should have been easy." That man had some bad history. He was no ordinary person. Hiruzen thinks for a moment and says, "If what you say is true, then how can we go to that universe? I'll send you, but not alone. This world is nothing yours. Sorry. This world is nothing you're used to. You'll have to have backup just in case. If that's it, then I'll have them here right away. I have a team in mind." 1 hour later, the elite shinobi is summoned to the office. The team consists of Lee, Sasuke, Sakura, Shikamaru, Choji, Ino, Tenten, and Hinata, with Kakashi, Shizue, Itachi leading. Alright, in this one, The massacre never happened, and yeah. Anyway, cause I fucks with Itachi. That's my Nindo. You feel me? But anywho, Kakashi asks, "So, what were we summoned here for, Lord Third? Before we discuss anything, I'd like you to meet someone." Suddenly, Hagoromo appears in front of them in a human form. He says, "I am the Sage of Six Paths. I am here to tell you all that I know where Naruto is." They all gain shocked looks, except for Sasuke, Itachi, and Chisui. Kakashi shouts, "Where has he gone?" "He's in another world. I had no time to explain every detail, so I'll send knowledge to you all as you jump. But be wary of beagles with red eyes at night. You'll know more soon." They all nod without question. Hiruzen then begins to speak. "This mission will be classified as a secret SS class mission. No one must know, not even the council." Sakura, "Then how are we gonna leave without anyone noticing?" Suddenly, copies of them appear in front of each of them. Hagoromo says, These will be your replacements. They're lifeless shells right now, but all you have to do is pour a small amount of chakra into them, and the rest will be handled." They all nod and place their hands on their clone's chest. They then proceed to pour a little bit of chakra into them. After a few moments, the clones begin to move and act exactly like them. Hagoromo then says, "These clones will last a while, so you don't need to worry about being found out." Now, a spatial rift then opens up. They all look in awe. Hagoromo then says, "Currently, Naruto is with someone named Kaneki. He's walking him out of the forest. They usually train him. I'll be sending you there." Kakashi then asks, "Hiruzen, are we retrieving him?" The sage, "No, that was Kakashi. Are we retrieving him?" The sage interrupts, "Only if he wishes to come back with you. Mind you, this was his choice." Hiruzen then says, "Well, I hope he can bring him home. Now, there's no more time to waste. Let's go." After he says this, they all nod and get sucked in. Now, back in Tokyo, Naruto is halfway out of this forest. He walks until he senses the familiar chakra. The magical old man. He then starts to feel 11 others. He thinks the worst and says, "Oh, don't tell me." A bright light then forms 9 feet away from him. "Oh, god damn it, Hagoromo." Suddenly, they all pop out of the portal, lightly crash landing. Let me see how long. Alright, it's 32 minutes. I'll keep going. Where was I? Alright. Kaneki looks up to see. Naruto stands there still holding Kaneki. Kaneki looks up to see 11 people getting up from a pile with a struggle. They're all holding their heads as if they're hurting. Naruto recognizes 3 signatures he's quite fond of, but the rest he's not so sure. After a few seconds go past, they all look up to see Naruto and Kaneki looking at them. Hiruzen can't believe his eyes. He's really looking at Naruto. He was so happy that he didn't realize his unusual appearance. He starts to tear up, but the rest are shocked at his appearance. All they see is orange glowing eyes in the bottom half of his face, revealing his whisker marks, because of his black bowler hat. Kakashi gets up and walks slowly towards Naruto. Even though the darkness covers most of his face, he sees the hostility in his eyes. He says, "Naruto, is that you?" He gives no response. Kaneki regains composure and stands by Naruto with a deadly look. Naruto pulls out a cigar and lights it by snapping a spark of his eternal flame from his finger. They all get curious looks and begin to think, what was that? Kakashi is now 6 feet away. He says, "I see that you're not too happy to see us, but if you'd let us, we'd like to talk with you." Hinata then says, "Yeah, Naruto, just let us talk with you. Just for a moment, please." Naruto then turns his attention to see her starting to cry. He suddenly smiles pleasantly at her, which makes her blush. Fucking nuggets. Sorry, I lost my place. Okay. Let me start from Hinata's part. Yeah, Naruto. Just let us talk with you. Just for a moment, please. Naruto then turns his attention to see her starting to cry. He suddenly smiles pleasant at her, which makes her blush. She then starts to smile with tears still streaming down. She thinks, he remembers me. But suddenly, both Naruto and Kaneki disappear from sight. They both reappear in front of Kakashi. Before he could even react, Naruto swiftly grabs his wrist, turns him around, and pins his arm to his back. At the same time, Kaneki suddenly formed a kunai and pins it precisely to his neck. Precisely to his neck. We'll get into that later because now's not the time. I'm saying that because you know the little magic trick he did, making kunai appear. But we'll talk about that later. Anyway, Naruto was looking at Hiruzen with an insane look. He said, "You think you can just waltz back into my life after what you did to me, Hiruzen? You thought I would be glad to see your face?" "I'm sorry, Naruto. I tried to find you, but..." "No, shut up! You're doing this because you want your Jinchuriki back." The old gave shocked looks. What? Still didn't expect me to know after all this time?" "Naruto," he grips tighter on Kakashi's hold. "Hostages don't talk." Sasuke suddenly appears behind Kaneki with the spin kick, only to see him turn towards him while still holding the kunai to Kakashi's neck. Wait. Alright. Kaneki grabs the hilt of his foot and grips tightly. He then throws him deep into the forest, crashing through every tree. Sakura yells, "Sasuke!" Shisui and Itachi both jump into the air, gliding towards Naruto, but two physical illusions of Kaneki stops them. They look in shock, but had no time to react, for one swiftly punches Itachi in the face while the other does a downward spin kick with his heel. Itachi goes flying while Shisui makes a huge explosion below. They are all at a loss for words. They couldn't believe three of the strongest Leaf Shinobi got taken down so easily. Sasuke, Itachi, and Shisui are all knocked out of the battle. They continue to hold Kakashi hostage. Naruto says, Now, tell me why you're here. Ever since you disappeared, I couldn't live with myself. Yeah, whatever, your life was just fucking fine. Naruto, don't say things like that. It's not nice. Shh, no talking. He suddenly starts to twitch. They gain looks of horror as he starts to shake. He says sickly, Why are my fingers falling off of my body? The smell of Konoha triggered him. His voice gets monstrous as three black and red claw-type Kagune shoot out of his back. Kaneki was able to push Naruto aside and grab Kakashi by the collar. He throws him as he moves and jumps and catches, and Kakashi lands beside. As Hiruzen jumps and catches Kakashi, Naruto uses the claws to grip the ground. Stop. Wait, hold on. Wait, am I reading this right? Alright, Kaneki was able to push Naruto aside and grab Kakashi by the collar. He throws him as Hiruzen jumps. As Hiruzen jumps and catches Kaneki, Naruto uses look, uses the claws to grip the ground, stopping him from falling. Wait, what? Wait, I don't. Slice across the ground. Across the fingers. Running black. Red type cockroach. Wait, what happened? Oh wait. Oh yeah. Yeah, okay. I'm not reading it wrong. Sorry, I thought I was reading it wrong. But let me start from where I was confused at. Kaneki was able to push Naruto aside and grab Kakashi by the collar. He throws him as Hiruzen jumps. As Hiruzen jumps and catches Kakashi. Naruto used the claws to grip the ground, stopping him from falling. He slides across the ground and comes to a stop. He looks up and cracks two fingers. A red and black raven-type Kakuja mask forms on Naruto's face. Hinata tries to walk up, but Kaneki holds his arm out, signaling her to stop. He says, "You don't want to approach him right now." Sakura intervenes. "What's going on with Naruto?" "He's a Kakuja. The smell of your village brought memories back." Kakashi then shouts, "Naruto, you're gonna be okay. You don't have to do this. I have to count to 900. Or is it from 900? I don't remember. I have to remember. He's gonna come back. He's gonna come back for me." Two blade-like Kagune shoot out from the lower half of his back. As he says this, they're all shaking because of the fear. They've never encountered a demonic and monstrous being like Naruto. They don't know what to do. Naruto is flailing his Kagune uncontrollably, destroying the area. Ino says, How are we gonna help him?" No one here can help him." They all gain curious looks, but the fear instantly returns as Naruto starts walking slowly towards them. He's holding his head in confusion. His Kagune is flailing wildly. He says, "What's going on? I can't see. It's dark. Please help me." His subconscious is imagining him inside that dark room, alone and scared. He begins to cry while covering his face. I don't want to be here anymore. I want to go back home. I want to see Kurama. I want to see the old man. I want to see Koma. I want to see Hirami. I want to see my family." He's still walking towards them as he says this. They all start to tear up. No one deserves to go through that much pain. Hiruzen begins to walk slowly towards Naruto, but in an instant Naruto reacts. He looks up with tears in his eyes and an angered expression. He heard his footsteps, and it made him focus on the reason this happened. Both blades extend towards the Hokage. They all look in shock as the blades rush towards him. So fast for them to react, so they think he's gonna die. So in flash, Kaneki breaks his neck, killing him. Yeah. Kaneki breaks his neck, killing him. He falls to the ground. Hiruzen's heart is beating out of his chest right now. He thought this was the end, but he realizes he heard a cracking sound. He looks over to see Kaneki standing over the body of Naruto. Tears start to fall as he begins to get filled with rage. He yells, "What have you done?" Hinata suddenly charges at him with tears in her eyes and rage in her expression. She screams, "How could you?" She approaches and starts to throw constant attacks, but Kaneki is dodging every one with ease. Hinata throws a punch. Kaneki instantly grabs her wrist and pins her arm behind her back. She screams, "Let go of me!" "Calm down, he's fine." Tenten then says, How was he alive? You killed him." No, I didn't. The only way to kill us is to chop off our heads or pierce the heart. But you have to be a ghoul to do that. All I did was temporarily kill him. His broken neck will heal in a couple of minutes. He then shoves Hinata forward. She stumbles a little and turns around with an angered look. Now, why are you all here? Kakashi says. We're here to bring him back home. I hope not by force. If so, I'll have to kill you all. We didn't come here for a conflict. We just wanted to see Naruto again. Well, you saw him and look what happened. He rose and lowers his head in guilt. He's cursing himself in his mind for what he'd done to Naruto. Suddenly, all the attention turns to Naruto as they see him start to move. He then utters someone's name. I'm here, Naruto! They all look back to see a girl running towards them. She runs past and asks, What happened to my Naruto? Who did this? She runs to him and gets down on her knees and holds him in her arms. She sees that he has a cockroach mask formed on his face and begins to cry. No, I promised him that he'd never feel pain again. I promised him. Despite that, I broke it. I failed him. They all get sad looks. Kaneki begins to say, He became a cockroach, so I had to subdue him. She ignores and continues to hold him. Kaneki then says, You all had to get rid of that smell. That's what triggered his transformation. Wash your clothes in a nearby river for all I care. Kurama, let's go. Okay. Kaneki picks up Naruto and places an arm around him and holds him up. His cockroach mask disintegrates off his face. He's letting out steam while sweating a puddle. Steam is coming out from his body as well. He was under too much pressure because of the toxic memory overload from their smell, which caused him to slowly go crazy. And with the past experiences, he acquired 2 Kagune, 3 red and black mobile claws, and 2 thin blue blades that shoot from the lower half of his back. Okay. They start to walk him out of the forest. A few moments go by. Kaneki and Kurama. What? They start and turn towards the region. Oh yeah. A few moments go by. Kaneki and Kurama then hear running from behind. They stop and turn towards them. He woos and pleads. Please, we didn't come this far just to fail. Just give us a moment with him. That's all. Kaneki thinks about this. Kaneki thinks about his plea and says, One moment, that's all. I'll send someone to escort you to a high-end... I'll send someone to escort you to a high-end hotel. There will be new clothes on the bed because you guys dress weird. You will stay there until we arrive. And with this, and without anything else being said, Kaneki and Kurama leave with Naruto. They all have nothing to say. That encounter was too bone-chilling. They stay silent with saddened looks because of the guilt. They hear Sasuke limping in the distance behind them. Sakura runs over and helps keep his balance. She then sits him up against a rock and begins to heal him. Itachi and Shisui are slowly regain consciousness and struggle to lift themselves up. Kakashi runs over to Itachi and helps him to his feet. Ino does the same for Shisui. Itachi mumbles, He's grown a lot. In strength as well. He has, Kakashi says. He has. If only we'd been there to see it. They all get sad again, until Hinata says, There's no time to be sad. We're finally gonna get a chance to talk to him. She says with a happy smile. The sad looks turn into encouraged smiles. The only one who wasn't smiling was Sasuke. For some reason, the thought of that loss ate at him. He didn't understand why. A few minutes go past. Sakura had finished healing Itachi and Shisui. They all sit in silence until Sakura says, "Wasn't expecting a reaction like that." Kakashi, "Well, for the way the village treated him, and for what that man did to him, I wasn't expecting anything less. The sight was unbearable. I can't believe Naruto went through this much pain while we were living carefree. It's our fault he's like this." It goes silent once more. 30 minutes pass and they see a man walking toward them with a mask in butler attire. The man approaches and says, "Follow me." Hiruzen thinks, "This must be the person." They all then get up and begin following the man. They walk in uncomfortable silence because of the man. But Hiruzen, Itachi, Shisui, and Kakashi keep cool. A few moments go past and they look in awe as they see tall and bright buildings, cars, people, and strange attire. It's so beautiful, just beautiful to them. It's nothing they've ever imagined. Suddenly, the man catches their attention. They look upon a black limo and their eyes widen. The man says, "Please step inside. I'll be taking you to a Vice Hotel." They all were hesitant at first, but they all get it. They were all jaw-dropped at how the interior looks. Itachi picks up a bottle from inside an ice bucket and says, "Hey, they have sake here. Anyone want any?" They all nod with looks of excitement. They then begin to grab wine glasses as Kakashi and Hiruzen grab the other 2 bottles. They begin to drink and have a good time. You basically can call it a celebration because they were successful in gaining an opportunity to convince Naruto to come home. 30 minutes pass and they were all beginning to talk about Naruto. Kakashi, "So, what were your first thoughts on Naruto?" Begins to speak. "Well, he was nothing like what I was expecting." "What were you expecting?" Suddenly starts to daydream about a cool and handsome bad boy while blushing. Kakashi looks at her with a dull look. He shrugs it off and continues, "What about you, Itachi?" He's crazy and strong. Not too good of a combination." He's not, Hiruzen then interrupts. "He's not crazy. He's just broken," Hiruzen says. But before Itachi could respond, they come to a stop. The man says, "We have approached your destination." They all thank the man and get out of the limo. They all gain fascinated looks as they look upon a big and beautiful hotel. They begin to walk in and go to the desk. They are greeted by the desk lady. "Hi, you must be our guests. You all will be taking rooms 184 through 195 on floor 19. She hands them prices of paper with their assigned room numbers. They still have looks of awe because of the hotel's interior. It was like they jumped 40 years into the future. They all make their way to the elevator and go to their designated floor, to Naruto, Kaneki, and Kurama's new mansion. Okay, this is where I'm going to end it off. How long was that? Yep, that was a decent amount of time. But I hope you guys enjoyed this What If. I know I did. But make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe. And I will see you guys on the next one. Peace.